But I'm like, congrats to you, 13 years later, here you are. So, you know, you were relentless, you kept pushing.
Yeah.
And just specifically still on the music, who are you speaking to in your song, The Kenyan Message? Who do you want to hear that song, and what do you exactly want them to comprehend from that song?
Kenyans.
What do you want them to pick from that song?
To be quite honest, I feel like I was just also being a Kenyan by doing that.
Yeah.
What Kenyans really like to do is to have outrage. We are always outraged. We are complaining, even as we're complaining.
Oh, in the car, it took us so long.
We are always
complaining about everything.
Yeah, it's never good. And it's true, it isn't. But so we just
tweet about it and then that's it.
We just complain.
There's no follow-up. There's no real action.
There's no real follow-through on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say there's no real, because that's very, in fact, I take that statement back. There is follow-through, but the follow-through has not hit a critical mass yet, right?
What follow-through exactly are you talking
people,
about?
When you think about like community-based organizations, social justice centers in different communities, resident associations that, you know what's up and like take on establishments and people do know what's up, and I think that there's the groupings and there's the effort. But also, you know, these sort of systems they need a lot of support, you know. So I think it's a time thing, actually.
Okay.
Quite often, this is how I feel about Kenya. Or this is what helps me not despair in its totality. That there's a thing that only happens as a result of, you know, time. A generation that sees itself differently. That only happens as a result of time, you know.
Interesting, because one thing that I have picked from your music and from just following you on social media over the years is that you've always been very vocal about politics and policies.
Everything. I'm vocal about everything that I care about.
But specifically in line to what... In line... Hear me out, Muthoni. In line to the Kenyan Message, which is still the discussion we were having, yeah. Have you just always been politically conscious?
All Kenyans are politically conscious. There's no Kenyan who's not politically conscious. That's
I don't think so.
That's
I know people who I know people who don't care.
Okay.
They're
But
like,
they don't care about what?
They are quote unquote too cool for politics.
No, they care. They care. They don't care about being involved in the day-to-day of it. It's easier to not have to think about it. It's easier to bury your head in the sand and just to try and like do whatever you can do. I don't think, okay, fine. Let me not be a dictator. I guess there may be some people who don't care.
Because even just fundamentally...
But I care. And I think a lot of people in our generation, in my generation care. I think a lot of people in their 30s care. Because, you know, we kind of grew listening to the politics. We grew up, you know, under when President Moi, the late, was the president of Kenya. And so, you know, there was a lot of public discourse all the time in homes, at parties, at weddings, funerals, you know, as democracy was coming in, you know, the repeal of Section 2A of the Constitution. So I grew up listening to adults talking about these things, and then we also went through Saba, you know, coming from school and like, you know, the school bus and, you know, it's told you can't not have. I think that's my personal view. If you were born like kutoka hapo like 1985 hapo kipanda juu.
It's different.
Actually, it wasn't until like 1989 hapo. You can't say that you don't have a perspective of politics of Kenya. It's affected everything. We saw our parents being retrenched when Kenya did structural adjustment programs as a result of IMF. So I don't feel that I'm talking about politics, and I think that this is a thing I hate that is often misunderstood. I'm not here talking about politics. I'm talking about society. It so happens in your society called Kenya, politics rules everything.
It is every fundamental bit of life.
Therefore, it is impossible to make a commentary on Kenya and not make a commentary on the politics and the administration and the leadership and the invention of this goddamn colonial idea called Kenya, you know, and the neo-colonial state that we live in. You cannot not mention those things. At the same time, we can also talk about, you know, partying, how Nairobi, you know, the things of Nairobi, all the other things that are then concerned with here, love and hustling and all the other stuff. The difference, I would imagine, is because I included it in the music and a lot of artists don't. So it seems like I'm doing something so like radical and No, bro. Like.
But don't you think, because end of the day, your responsibility, that is partly your responsibility because of the influence that you have, right? But when we don't see a lot of that from the other musicians, then of course the general assumption is they don't care. Because we don't see it from them. They have brands to protect. You know, they have an image and brands to protect. When someone is ignorant of the basics of how the law works and how bills are made and how we can make real changes, then how do I say you care just because you have a phone and you have internet and you can tweet about it? But you're really ignorant of even how the system works. So are you just tweeting about it because everyone is tweeting about Nigeria and SI? Do you just want to look cool and supportive, or you really care? Especially in this age of social media, when you can't really tell what's real and what's fake by just looking at someone's social media, you know. But now when you go that extra mile, then I'm like, oh, she actually does care, and it's consistent all through. It's not just a one-time thing.
Absolutely.
So that's what I mean by, I feel like people don't just care.
Got you.
Yeah, because it's just online. Oh, I'll tweet about it. Cool. Kudos. I'll wait for the next thing to happen tomorrow. Oh, mahindi imebiwa. Oh, let's tweet about it.
Exactly.